Morning and welcome to Inside Texas Politics. I'm David Schechter in for Jason Whiteley this morning. Let's get straight to Congressman Joe Barton's open seat. Now, 3 Republicans have already filed to run, and Ron Wright is considered the leading candidate. He's the Tarrant County tax assessor collector. Couldn't be here this morning. Jake Elzy is here, a retired U.S. Navy fighter pilot, and Bud Kennedy is here from the Star-Telegram. Good morning to all of you guys. Bud, can you catch us up with what happened this week with Barton?
Well, of course, the important thing to say is that Congressman Barton was not accused of any violence or any crime. You know, what he was accused of is some unwanted advances. You know, there are some pictures of him on the internet, and frankly, David, it became a situation where he might have wanted to run again, but the Tarrant County Republicans didn't want him to run.
It seems like they wanted him out. So, Jake, what has your reaction been to the conduct of Congressman Barton?
Well, as a lifelong military man, there's a standard that should be set for military members and public citizens alike, and that standard was not met, so it was time to go.
Now, you were going to run against him anyway. You had already announced before he announced that he wasn't running. You know, what's the thinking of that? You were running against Barton.
Well, I think that our country thrives on new blood. It succeeds on new blood. I believe in term limits. 32 years is a long time for anybody, and I think that we've seen the results of that are that your thinking goes a little askew when you stay in Washington too long. We had done some polling prior to the news of the scandal breaking, and we saw a pathway to victory based on immigration and defense that I saw that it was an opportunity to try to make a dent in our nation's history.
Well, by staying in Washington 32 years, Barton got to be chairman of committees, got to be a leader, got to be the senior member of the Texas delegation. What's bad about staying a long time?
Well, the truth is that was a long time ago that he was chairman of that committee, and he hasn't been in that capacity for some time. But I don't want to get comfortable in Washington, D.C. I'm not a politician. It's not my desire to go get comfortable in Washington, D.C. I do think you have to stay for a little while to gain some seniority, but at the same time, there needs to be a limit on that. The Founding Fathers were in great debate about that, and it's not in the Constitution, but there were many who were. In fact, when Jefferson came back, he wasn't at the Constitutional Convention, but it worried him that there weren't term limits in the Constitution.
So you get started, you're thinking, well, I'm different on immigration, I'm different on defense. I don't want to be a career politician, but now the race has changed, right?
It has changed.
So is that still what you're going to be talking about, or is it also about moral leadership now, or exactly what you thought it was 2 weeks ago?
Job number one is restore integrity and honor to this office for the people of this district. That is job number one. Yes, I differed from Joe Barton on immigration, but I also have a unique background in both business and defense, and I was involved both in Afghanistan and Iraq. And my whole life has been about service. I've been under oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States since July 6th of 1988, with a 6-month interruption when I ran unsuccessfully in 2014. But I take that call to service as a call to service, not a job. It's not a career to go to Congress. And if I can offer a voice of civility and reason going up to Washington, D.C., then that's what I'd be honored to do.
That run was for a Texas House seat. You ran as the only candidate on the ballot in the legislative race who had Governor Perry's endorsement, but you didn't even make the runoff.
That's correct. Well, I'd been in the district for a year and a half, and I ran a very distinguished campaign that both I and my family can be proud of. There was a better-known candidate in the race named John Ray, who subsequently became my friend on the campaign trail. I'm very proud that he won that race, and he's done a fine job for us. So good people get good folks to endorse them all the time, and they don't always win, but you got to dust yourself off and re-enter the arena. Service is a calling.
Well, will Secretary Perry endorse you in this race?
I don't know. I would certainly be honored to have that endorsement, though.
So you got so Ron Wright, as we've heard from the leaders in Tarrant County, is sort of the early front runner, I guess. It's
former Arlington Mayor Pro Tem, also a longtime Barton aide, but current tax assessor.
So it's a very short front runner status, I guess, because you guys have just recently filed, both of you. But where do you find him to be weak? Why would you be better than him at this job?
Well, I've heard that Ron Wright is a very good man, and I know he's been in politics for a long time, which is exactly what I am not. Nobody knows who I am because I'm not a politician, and I'm very proud of that. I don't know where his stand is. In fact, from what I understand, he's filing this morning. As of now, it looks like it's he and I who have filed. All I can bring to the table are my strengths and weaknesses. I'm not running against him. I'm running for this open seat.
Now, a third candidate, Monty Mitchell, has filed as well. Are you concerned that someone from Barton's staff, someone who's been in Barton's office, been involved, are you concerned about someone from who has worked with Barton taking the seat?
I'm not concerned by that. That's up to the voters, but I think the voters are going to show that they want somebody who's not been a politician for a long time, and I certainly think distancing myself from Joe Barton would be something that he would probably want to do, to say, I've been doing this for 12 years for Joe Barton. That's up to him to.
You talk about your military background.
Yes,
Rick Perry and then Marcus Luttrell is a friend too, is that right?
Yes, sir. I was a helicopter pilot, and then I flew jets in the Navy, and in between flying jets in Afghanistan and Iraq, I did a tour on the ground with SEAL Team 5 as a joint terminal air controller, and I was on deployment with Marcus and Morgan Luttrell. It was the best deployment I ever did, and it made me really respect the Special Forces in our country.
I think we have 30 seconds, because I know you talk about immigration. We haven't gotten to that. Can you tell us where do you differ with Barton on immigration?
Well, immigration, when he came out as the only Republican congressman from Texas in favor of the DREAM Act, that gave me pause. I didn't agree with that at all. DACA and DREAM Act, neither one have ever passed. DREAM Act is not a law, and DACA was an executive action undertaken by President Obama in 2012, which he admitted in 2010 and 11 was not legal for him to do. So I think we should look at different ways of going through immigration reform that doesn't allow chain migration, and it's merit-based. And I think Tom Cotton's RAISE Act is a good way to look at that.
Very good. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much.